Hello everyone, today I'll be reviewing Safety Last. So Safety Last came out in 1923 and is a silent comedy film starring Harold Lloyd. So this film starts off with Harold Lloyd's character. He wants to marry his girlfriend, so he sets off into the big city in order to make a name for himself and earn some money. So he ends up working for this department store as a sales clerk where he isn't making a lot of money and he is struggling a little bit, but he's still making enough to get by. But he ends up spending all his hard-earned money on expensive gifts for his girlfriend that he can't really afford, but he decides to go ahead and buy anyway. So his girlfriend is then thinking that he is doing extremely well and that he must have a very good role at the department store. So she gets a train into the city in order to see him, and this leaves Harold Lloyd in a bit of an awkward situation. So he ends up pretending that he is the manager of this store in order to impress his girlfriend and make her think he's doing really well. And even at one point he even sneaks into the manager's office to pretend that he is the manager and that this is his office. And we get all sorts of funny scenes like this within the department store. Later on, Harold Lloyd, he hears his manager say that he will give $1,000 to anybody who can attract lots of customers to this department store. So this is where the film really takes a turn and goes in a bit of a different direction. So earlier on, Harold Lloyd, he has a roommate who is really good at climbing things because he's a construction worker and he can climb up buildings. So he says to his friend, "Can you climb up this department store and make this whole big thing of it, make it a real stunt in order to attract lots of people to the department store so that Harold Lloyd can then get the $1,000. So his friend agrees to do this, but unfortunately his friend has been in trouble with the law, has been in trouble with the police. So we then get this real crazy sequence when Harold Lloyd's friend is trying to outrun the police officer. Because of this, Harold Lloyd ends up having to climb the building instead. So his friend is going up floor after floor trying to escape the policeman in order to climb the rest of the building, whereas Harold Lloyd ends up having to do lots of climbing, obviously very dangerous stuff. And really the second half of the film is made up of this fantastic sequence of Harold Lloyd really struggling to climb up this tall building and very closely falling to his death a few times. So as I said, obviously this is a silent movie, so most of the entertainment comes from what we've seen on screen. And I think like a lot of silent movies, it has bits that are very funny, lots of comedic moments, lots of slapstick gags, but at the same time this one is a lot more exciting. It's a lot more thrilling in lots of places than some other silent movies, particularly towards the second half of the film. Now, Harold Lloyd wasn't really someone I was particularly familiar with. When I think of silent movies, I always think of Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton, and Harold Lloyd is certainly not as well known as the other two. But in this film, I think this is absolutely superb. He does absolutely brilliantly. He's very iconic looking with those glasses of his and his hat, and he really throws himself into this film in terms of the bizarre events which end up happening. Now, I have to admit, I probably didn't like this as much as the Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin films I've seen. It doesn't have quite the pacing that the Buster Keaton's films have. It did seem to slow down a little bit here and there, and it lacks the likability of a lot of Chaplin's work. It lacks the heart, I suppose. But this film has a proper mix of everything, which I really appreciate, because the jokes are always really funny. They're always really sometimes over the top, sometimes a bit understated, but still they're definitely enough to make you smile and even sort of make me laugh a few times. I found myself having a real good time with it. But at the same time, in the second half of the film with this sequence when Harold Lloyd is climbing up this building, it's a very tense sequence. I was on the edge of my seat. I really found my palms sweating a few times when I was watching this. It really looked as though, he was in danger. And it's really amazing how this sequence is filmed, because it really looks as though Harold Lloyd, the actor, was actually in danger. Now, it turns out, obviously, when they filmed it, they did have a setup where they had some mattresses below so that, you know, he probably wouldn't have actually died, but it certainly looks as though he would have done, especially the higher and higher up the building he goes. We see the background of the street below. It just looks further and further away, and it's just very, very effective, the way that this is filmed. Also, being a silent film, like a lot of other silent films, it's not a particularly long film. It's only 73 minutes long. It doesn't really drag anything out too much in terms of pacing. I think it gets everything just right. It's just a perfect running time, and although perhaps towards the start is a little bit slow and getting it's introduced to what is going on, but I was always interested. I never really felt bored in this film, and I think it's mostly because, like a lot of silent films, you have to really be paying attention because there's no noise apart from the musical score. You want to see what's going on. You have to watch, and throughout the whole time I was watching this movie, I was engaged. I was enjoying it. Sometimes I was laughing. Sometimes I was a bit on the edge of my seat and, you know, really wanting to see what was happening next. So a fantastic film altogether, and I think definitely if you're somebody who likes silent films, I think we'll definitely like this. But even if you're someone who doesn't really like silent films, I think this is a very easy watching film, and yeah, if I'm honest, quite a lot of silent films I find quite easy to watch. So overall, I'm going to give Safety Last a rating of 8 out of 10. I don't think it's the best silent film I've ever seen. There's a few problems with it here and there, but overall it gets the balance of everything just right, like I said, and it's just a very easy watching film. It's entertaining, it's funny, it's thrilling, it has a bit of everything, and yes, it has some wacky characters as well, and some really excellent gags and really superb comedy moments. So there we go. So that is my review of Safety Last. So what do you guys think? Have you seen Safety Last? If you've seen it, please let me know down in the comment section. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.